So today we're going to go over how the mechanical brakes on a pre-war Rolls Royce work. So when this car first came in the shop, the brake pedal and floorboard, it moved a little bit and then kind of felt high and hard like a well-functioning hydraulic brake system would. And unfortunately, that is why some people thought it had brakes. Mechanical brake system can seize up and then it'll feel like it's functioning. So this particular case, the handbrake and the mechanical brake, foot brake for the rear, both of them had different components that had seized, and effectively there was no brakes to the rear. And so anyway, after long disassembly repair work, the shoes themselves were good. I think someone had replaced them trying to fix some other linkage problems, and so it was more a matter of sourcing new drums since they had rotten through. Think that it was just mud packing into the fins on them, and making some rust. But other than that, it really didn't take much components to rebuild the rear. And nice part is now if this car goes to move, it does have functioning foot brake, and you can set the park brake, or emergency brake, whatever you'd like to call it. So other things going on with the Rolls Royce is these are some new brake drums. They're actually new old stock, and it's probably a good thing. The original one is highly corroded. You can see we've actually got most off the hub. I'm actually waiting for new tap and die set out of England, of course, so I can fix these. These are British standard fine threads. The other funny part on this one is it took me a little bit because normally in British tools, I don't have them sitting here, this head is actually a... Okay, so some more information on the pre-war Rolls-Royce braking system. So you have a foot pedal, which ends up going through the floorboard. Doesn't do firewall or anything like that. That operates, a shaft goes through the transmission, and the key is over on the side over here. That's where all the real magic happens. So you see a complexity of mechanisms, including a centrifugal clutch, essentially. So as the car speeds up, it actually will apply more braking force. It's a mechanical multiplier to the brake system. The other thing that is very interesting on these is there's another mechanism that essentially, once you reach, and it depends how it's adjusted, but most of the time I've read it's about 20 miles an hour, it will then engage the front brakes, which is part of this lower mechanism you see with all the whole bunch more rods on it. So really low speeds, you actually have no braking power on the front. Highway speed, your front axle will actually engage. So the other interesting thing is, you hit your brakes on this car too hard, lock up the rear, you're going to lose the mechanical power through the brakes. Probably not a big deal, they're locked up anyway. But yeah, brilliant design. This is not only the most complex mechanical brake system I know of, it is also one of the best ones. So some other design features are, so in this one you can see over here, we've got a small differential like you see in an axle. So that allows for a difference in power to each one. So when it pulls, it actually pulls equally on each side. And because that little differential will take up the slot between them. As you can see, like here, rear shaft's moving, front does nothing. Another interesting fact is they actually put cables on to the axles. So this allows for better movement from your suspension and have it affect your braking less than traditional mechanical systems. Yeah, it costs a little more money. Front axle, of course, the driven shaft goes through the axle shaft, and then that link is disconnected. Let's see, this one here is actually connected. So yeah, and and this is a back brakes on the Rolls Royce. It's 14-inch drums. You can actually see there's a separate shoe for your foot brake and then your hand brake. This is, of course, mechanical brakes, being a 37. Guys with commercial trucks probably recognize that's an S-cam setup. And then there's actually some of the control systems for that. You can see there's adjustments, there's a central oiling, so there's a foot pump for the operator, and all those tiny copper pipes come down, keep things lubricated. There's actually, and they did cables from the chassis down to the axle, which is a really nice design. Those particular levers were probably the most difficult to get off and get reconditioned, but we managed to do that despite all our corrosion here. There's the shock system, which is also adjustable by the driver, has central oiling, and that will be a later challenge to get apart and rebuilt. Okay, so in the rear, we can see our cables again. So, and there's two different brake systems back here, which is important to note. So your hand brake or parking brake on this is a totally separate system all the way to the back, other than sharing the same brake drum. I have a picture that kind of shows the two separate shoes in there. But anyway, so parking brake is already set a little bit. That's part of where that's tight. You notice our other one's loose. And notice all the small tubing. That is not hydraulic lines, like for hydraulic brakes. This is actually for the oiling system. The driver has a small foot pedal and pump, and it distributes a small amount of oil to pivot points throughout the car. Keeps everything working smooth. It's almost like it's a Rolls Royce and they want luxury. Huh. So the other neat thing I was going to try to show you is on top here. Is kind of a hand adjustment. And so you use this, you actually rotate until you can't turn it anymore. And you see what it's doing is actually moving the adjuster but that is so your operator or chauffeur can actually adjust his brakes quickly. So by doing a sharp ramp and drop off, so it's a ratcheting mechanism, is once he can't turn it to the next one, you have the proper amount of gap in your shoes. So it's a very quick one, but it actually requires quite a few more little linkages here to do that. But very brilliant mechanical brake system.
And thanks for watching.